choose life.
Amen.
Amen. I think some background here is helpful so that we can understand what's going on in Galatians chapter 3. Paul actually led the people of Galatia to Christ. And you even see here, this book, generally speaking, and you see it here specifically in chapter 3, he is saying unto them that they started off pretty good. They were walking in faith and not by sight. They were believing in God. They were believing that Jesus Christ is the risen King. They had gotten off to a good start spiritually, but it said, who fooled you? Who bewitched you? Who tricked you? Because what had happened was some false teachers began to arise. And those false teachers began saying things like, yeah, if you want to be saved, not only do you have to confess Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, but you also have to keep the law. And so they started to believe these false teachers, the Galatians did. And because these false teachers were beginning to attack Paul and his ministry, and attack Paul personally, and attack the gospel that Paul was preaching. And they were saying, it's not enough to believe in Jesus Christ. If you want to be saved, you have to believe in Jesus, and you have to keep the law. The devil is a liar. Amen?
Amen.
But that's what they were teaching. And what had happened was the Galatians started to believe this. And it began to hinder their walk of faith. You can't mix faith with other things. And they started to believe these other things. And it started to hinder their faith. It started to hinder their obedience to Paul's message. And Paul's message was simple. We are saved by grace through faith. It is simply through the grace of God, the unmerited favor of God, that he gave his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. That those who believe on him would be saved.
Yes.
It's not of works. It's not about what you do. It's not about how good you were as a citizen of whatever country you live in. It is not about anything that you did in your own strength and your own mind, because nothing that we can do in our own strength could ever help bridge the gap between a sinful man and a holy God.
Amen.
You could get all the engineers in the whole world. They could never build a bridge that could take a sinful man and connect him to a holy God. The only one who could do that was Jesus Christ. And we get from our state of sinfulness to a state of righteousness and right standing with God through faith. Amen?
Amen.
It's not of works. But yet the Galatians started to believe this, that it was about works. Now, please understand, that doesn't mean that what you do doesn't matter. But you have to believe first.
Amen.
And then you should have some works that are consistent with your belief.
Yes.
That's what James was talking about, that a faith without works is dead. He wasn't saying you have to work in order to be saved, but what he's saying is once you're saved by faith, you should have some works of faith that shows that you're saved.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
But Paul here is saying, but you cannot work your way into heaven. And you don't need to add some so-called good works to your faith in order to be saved.
Amen.
It's a simple gospel, amen? Whosoever shall call on and believe in the name of the Lord shall be saved. Amen?
That's right.
It's a faith walk. And that's what Paul is reminding the Galatians of here. He said, just as Abraham believed God and it was counted to him for righteousness, he said the same thing for you. It's a faith. You are going to be in a right relationship with God because of an exercise of faith.
Yes.
And specifically, under the New Testament, a faith in Jesus Christ as the only begotten Son of God. Amen?
Amen.
Who came into the world to save the world from sin. He said, that's how you're going to be saved. So that we can just have an appreciation of the high price. It's always good, amen, to remind yourself of the price that Jesus paid in saving and redeeming you and I from the curse of the law. How many of you are glad today that sickness, disease, and poverty and lack is not your inheritance? How many of you are glad today that the breakup of your marriage and of your family is not something that's your inheritance?
Amen.
And it has nothing to do with what kind of person you are, but the person that you put your faith in.
Jesus.
And the world needs to know is this is the only way that you can be free from the curse of the law. Look around those who don't believe in Jesus Christ, and you can see the things that are going on in their lives. I'm glad I'm saved.
Amen.
Amen.
And I'm glad for Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I'm glad that he loved us so much that he went to Calvary's cross for the joy that was set before him. Amen.
Amen.
He despised the shame. Amen.
Amen.
He took it all for us.
Yes.
Amen. That we might live.
Yes.
Thank God for Jesus.
Amen.
Thank God for the sacrifice. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever, amen,
Amen.
any nationality, doesn't matter your gender, your age, your education, your economic situation, whosoever shall believe on him
Yes.
shall have everlasting life. This is what the Spirit of the living God is saying unto us and to the whole world today. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you. In other words, I call heaven and earth as witnesses against you. Only God can call heaven and earth as his witnesses. For what reason? He says this, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life. God says life and death is before you today. And he says, choose life. Amen?
Amen.
There's a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the ends thereof are the ways of death.
Yes.
Don't choose your own way, God is saying.
Amen.
Because that's going to lead to death. That's going to lead to curses. Amen? And I sent my Son to redeem you from the curse
Yes.
of the law. But you have to believe in him. Choose life. Amen? Why? For that you and your descendants may live eternally with me.
Amen.
And successfully and prosperously even right now in this fallen earth.